welcome back to part 2. Let's jump right into it. All right, so spindles are all done. I did these the other day. Welded up as much as I could. Should be good and strong. Whenever you're doing steering parts or anything on a vehicle, you always want to make sure that you make them the same but mirror image, lefts and rights. This is a 1/2 inch shoulder bolt, and then this will get a piece of 1/2 inch seamless pipe to go over top of it. So that should work out well for that. What I've been working on now are the fenders, because I need the fenders and the spindles and the tires. Everything kind of goes together for this now. So I need all of that so I can actually get the hood just right. So we just got some fenders from Princess Auto, but they have a pretty slight radius. So when they're on top of the tire, there's a big gap there, and then there's another gap over here. And it just doesn't look that tidy. So I take the fender and I run it through the shrinker stretcher combo unit that I borrowed from my buddy Josh over at Shade Tree Mechanical. And this is what it looks like with this better radius. So it'll sit up a little bit, but the radius itself fits much nicer. The only downside is that shrinker stretcher, it leaves a bunch of little marks in here. But quick pass with an orbital sander and cleans them up pretty good. So I'll do this one, then I have a third one to do. I'll make them all the same radius, and I'm going to take the third one, cut it in half, and lengthen these two fenders so it looks more like the sweep fender that comes on the 389 Pete's. So we just put it in. The first bite's going to flatten it out quite a bit, but that's okay. And then I can just work my way around the fender. Every time I hit a little trigger or a pedal on the ground, hits this air actuator and grabs the metal and kind of pulls it together. So the more metal I grab and pull together, the tighter this radius will be. So it's going to take a few passes back and forth, but this is one of the details that will really help set the project off. All right, so it's been a couple days since I've been on the project. Catch you up. I redid the hood. There was a warp in it, I didn't like it, and there was no slight radius in the top. So I put a slight radius in the top. I still got all these support arms on here to help keep it nice and straight. So you can see there's a little laser there. So the laser is parallel to the frame, and then I took measurements from the edge of the fender to the edge of the fender. So they're nice and parallel to the frame. Then I took a measurement from here to the hood, and then from inside along the back there, I took another measurement to the hood. So now I'll build these tapered pieces, and I'll build a right and a left. Then I'll be able to get these fenders mounted. So I will cut those pieces, roll them, and then I'll bring you guys back after I have the fenders tacked on. All right, so I wanted to bring you guys back and show me putting on the other fender and welding it out and cutting down inside and getting the steering all ready to go with my golf cart tires there. But I sent a picture to the clients, and then they saw this small fender with the golf cart, and they just didn't like how it was proportionally to match the original 389X. So we brought down some different tires, and I think we're going to go with this one. It's on a 13-inch rim. It's basically a trailer tire. I'm not sure what exact one they're going to source, but this is just a mock-up wheel. So I'm going to end up cutting this off and redoing the fenders. So it's unfortunate. It's not like they don't like them. The fenders turned out really good. They match the radius. They look nice, but proportionally they're wrong. And sometimes you just have to unfortunately do things twice. So it is what it is. Going to move on to something else. All right, so got a couple of minutes to work on this again in between other projects. So now I actually need to get inside there and drill a 4-inch hole. So not looking forward to climbing in here, but let's get into it. Okay. Well, that sucked. Got the Sharpie. Measure center. 25.5. 12 3/4. Well, that sucked. Hopefully I don't have to do that too many more times. So I got a few things done on the exhaust here. I made a little butterfly valve here that will help regulate, it's like baffle. Help regulate the amount of smoke because we have to have an inducer fan to help force it. Because the smoke's got to come out of the top of the barbecue and I've got to shoot right down through the floor. From the floor, I got to elbow over and grow it from 4 inches to just under 5 inches for the ID of this pipe. And then we got the chrome Y branch, which I'm going to have to cut down, and we're just going to have to put some flex on there. So my sacks are going to be out here, and they're going to taper and go in there. So let's get these pieces all done up. I've been doing a bit of work on the exhaust. Got the one stack done up. Got some gores or pie cuts. Gonna take these into the laser booth and weld them up. All right, so let's see where I left off the other day. I think I drilled that hole out and then I cleaned it up with a Dynafile so that cleans in, or the pipe fits in now. And then I welded my baffle onto my elbow, measured my center line radius, and then I transferred that down here, and then I drilled a little hole right there. And so now I just got to go knock that out with 4-inch hole saw, and then I can get it piped down to here. I'm probably going to have to cut this back to save as much room as possible. It'll probably be right around there is what I'm guessing. So let's get her done. I got the exhaust in, welded up through the hole in the ground. Inducer fan is running. Comes out the bottom, tapers up. I plugged off one side and then just taped a whole bunch of painter's tape over there just to make a little flexible connection. Let's see if we get some smoke out of the stack. Push the lid on. And now we just wait a couple seconds. And there we go. Smoke's coming out the stack, so it's gonna work. It's a little nervous, but I guess all I have to do is push the smoke right down. So once the exhaust is pushed down to the bottom, it just wants to evacuate out through the stack using stack effect. Awesome. Let's move on to something else. I've gotten a sample visor. So only half of it, make sure it fits, but that'll go on that side. That's looking good. This is my air can. This piece will go inside it. I'll have these little plates here welded to the side. I need to get some piano hinge and then some latches so it can spring shut and be pretty seamless. But this piece of mirror finish will go there. This guy, have these angles welded on the back. It'll fit around here, and then all the barbecue controls will be inside there. So I'm just waiting on a couple parts to come in so I can finish that. But in the meantime, let's weld up that other air cap. So for the passenger side, it's just going to be a tube with the mirror finish welded inside and out. And then they'll have that dome cap that I was working on earlier. So yeah, get going on that. Okay, so I got the top all ground up. I used a Dynafile to take the weld down, and then I used the Blendex disc. So this is made by Walter. It looks super abrasive, but it isn't. It does a really good job at taking out all the scratches and really smoothing everything out. So I'll clean this seam up with the Blendex disc, and then I'll do the bottom with the same process that I did this. Okay, so I started with this plate, and my holes were just a little bit off of where I wanted them. And then I was looking in these holes, I figured I'll increase them and use a pen machine. And then this was off a little bit, so I just redrew it on the laser. And I'll show that right now of it actual cutting speed. Don't blink. Cut out. All my little screws fit in really nice, these little machine screws. I'm going to use these to mount all this hardware as well. So I'm going to go over and use the pen machine. And pen machine is like its own brand of press that little punches in little threaded fasteners that'll either do studs or nuts. So, all right, so I'm going to get ready to do some engine turning. All I got here is a little roll-lock 2-inch disc with the tan Scotch-Brite. Tossing the drill press here, I'll turn my light on. And what I want to do is be about halfway to start. And then, I'll go a full radius to start and then just go on halfway points. So you just kind of want your center to line up about halfway with what it was before. And there it is in its home. So this guy will go on right around here. There'll be a little arm here to control the baffle, and then the temperature control will be there. And then it'll close up and be hidden in the air can here. Air can is on, held on with a couple of rivets. It's looking really good. It still needs to be polished and get all my fingerprints off, but you just give a push, it opens up. Inside plate, all the controls, the heat temperature will be here, your fan control will be here, and then the baffle control will be right there. Yeah, then there will be a little rod here for baffle, and it'll match the direction of the baffle. So open, close. Give this a little push, clicks, stays nice and shut. You can tell there's something in behind it. There's a little seam around, but you know what, from a little far away, can't tell. I think it looks pretty good. So I'll show you guys how I lined up these holes to get the air can on. So I simply grab the air can and a little piece of loose leaf. Take this on, nice and flush to the outside and where the top is. And I just simply run my dirty fabricator fingers over top, grab myself a little center punch, and then this was the side I was facing here. Put this along with my line that's nice and straight and level. And I just center punch my holes. 1, 2, 3, and 4. snap her on with a rivet. There we go. That looks pretty good. So I was getting some binding along here, so I just put a little bit of a radius on it so the hood will catch and then transfer over nicely. But now I just don't trust that solo gas shock to hold everything up. So I'm going to make some brackets. And basically I'm going to come from right around here and then go to here, but it's going to pivot a couple times. So I'll show you what I got going on with my CAD layout here. So I got my first pivot point here. This is my CAD layout, cardboard aided design. Got some magnets that just kind of swing around. I can pull, position, just kind of see what it's going to do. So this is where I want it to extend to on its down position, and then fold it up, tuck it in, and then those arms will work better. They'll work better than chain because I fear that the chain, if I have chain dangling anywhere in here, it's just going to start grabbing and ripping stuff out. So done some work in the hood, and it's an easy lift now, one hand, and it catches. And it's just a simple close. Bring yourself back. Customer came, dropped off these tires. These are the ones we're going to go with now. So these are 225 60 R14s. They'll fit the bolt pattern for the spindles that I have already, but I just don't trust that much width to handle that. So I'm going to rebuild this. I got the visor welded up, do a little seam there. Holes are pre-drilled. I'm going to nut insert them onto here. And then I popped the air can off and drilled out the holes in behind, so they go into the cab now. Here I have a little piece set up for the baffle. So this is going to U-joint over and come into here and then pop out through this hole. And this is where the control is going to be for the baffle. I extended all the wires and put the connections back on. I'll have to rewire the fan control and get that put in. But for right now, I'm gonna nut insert this guy on. Since we upsized the tires so much, I just think that this shoulder bolt's not going to be strong enough. So I upsized all my hub parts, thicker material here. This is 3/4 inch DOM. Tapped a hole on top, and then the pipe will fit over, and that'll be my new spindle axle. And I just have to grind the old part off the last one, and then weld up the new ones. I just made a little stand to get my tire to the correct height. Did some CAD work here, cardboard aided design, and yeah, it's looking good. I'll draw this up on the laser tomorrow. Turned out good, so let's get these cleaned up and tacked together, and then we'll see if we can't get them on the truck and get the tires mounted where we want them. Update. I got my little A-arm bracket here, and I'll tie it in here. From where I had it sitting the very first, it was blended out here, but then I wanted to actually move the tire back a little bit just for more clearance and more symmetrical. Got lots of clearance out the back, lots of turning towards that way. So we'll weld it all out, and then tires can be mounted, and then I can start building the turning. I got to build like a pitman arm and make everything actually turn. So let's jump onto that. All right, I got the wheels on. Got a little temporary notch in here so I can actually close the hood. It will be getting cut out along the radius, so we could get more turning than that. Up front's pretty good, but at the back we need a little more. Underneath, what I'm gonna do is off of this little bracket here, I'm gonna tie it into this little bracket here, the straight piece. I have a piece of 1/4 inch up front here. I'll tie them together, and then that's going to be my, this is going to be where my steering goes. This will be a little swivel pitman arm type deal, and then I'll make it so there's a receiver hitch on it. She'll come down, clear the bumper, which will be dragging pretty low, and then I will be able to make everything turn. I got one little mirror bracket bent up. It'll go on something like this. Not sure what angle I'll have it pitched in at, but let's bend up the other one. Got my mirror brackets. I got my side windows. Now I got these 6 holes in here. They're laid out to about 0.210, and I'm going to PEM them so they'll have a threaded fastener, and I'm going to have to countersink from the outside in and then smooth it out. I'll get them marked out and drilled onto the truck, and then we'll go PEM these. So I got the PEM nuts in one side of the window. I just love this tool. These things are so nice. Get no deflection. Able to get a good threaded fastener through. Let's do the next one. All right, windows in. I was able just to use this magnet. Strong enough to hold it, feed it through. Countersunk screws all the way. Underneath I have this piece welded in. My steering bracket is going to connect from this piece here to this piece down here, and then it'll be kind of lower, and then I'll have steering knuckles going that way for the tie rod ends. Drag out the bumper. It's an aluminum bumper. Fits pretty good, but I got to do a little bit of modification to one side of it to make it fit good. That piece is on the laser as well. So since I got a lot of stuff on the laser table, I'm going to start making this fit. And you can kind of see a little bit of wobble in there. So because there's a slight radius in the hood here. So I got to be able to put a radius in here. So luckily I still have the shrinker stretcher. So I'm going to be able to put a couple of shrinks in and then get this radius. So chipping away on the front grille. The welded seam somewhere around here, and that's blended out. Same if there's a welded seam right around here, and that's blended out. One more down here. So now I'm just trying to build up these corners. So I'm just TIG welding here. Got the seams welded down there. Now, these welded seams here, in here, they weren't exactly even when I went to weld them out. So what I did is you kind of feather it out with the grinder, and then you can peen your low spot from the backside with the peen side of a body hammer, and then just kind of keep doing that process of feathering it, seeing where the low spots are, bringing them up, back and forth, and then you get a nice flat seam without having a big dish in it and stuff like that. So these are fitting pretty well. So this is what I kind of started with. Do a seam there. I'll do a fill piece on this one so it's less welding, and then fill piece on the back. And then, yeah, I'll finish welding this out, so I'll bring you guys back after it's all blended. And there we go. Blended out. Got the radius put in. Looks pretty good. I'll have to, when I pop the grill off, I'll have to make sure these edges are nice and straight and true. But set up a time lapse and let's do it to this side now. So the grill is welded out. I'm not going to blend these guys up yet. I'm getting the whole grill insert. It's getting laser cut out. So it's going to have 3 bars that kind of come off there, and it's going to be a whole bunch of Peterbilt ovals. So I don't want to take it really off once. So I got this T-handle retrofitted. So it had a way bigger radius to match the stock radius of the truck. So it wasn't really too exciting. I just welded extra material on with 4043 wire, and then I cut about 1.25 inches off each side, and then I cut some off on the back too. So then now you'll be able to grab a hold of this handle, open and close it. And then this is a factory Peterbilt part. They just wanted me to cut it down to a little more scale to match this truck. So next, I think I'm going to jump back onto my steering, get those steering pieces put in, and then that way I can start measuring up for the tie rod ends. And after the steering, I'll jump onto the mirrors, get them done, and see where we're at. All right, so all hands on deck. So I had to call my neighbor, Gabor. Gabor lives on the other side of those welding curtains there. And he's helping me out. So he welded up the front bumper. We had to do a little bit of modifying. I'll show you right now. So this side was horribly overbroken. There was a whole bunch of deflection and just awfulness in there. So Gabor welded this piece in, blended it out. He blended out everything on the bottom. Got this side welded up and blended out these welds. So now this would be ready for polishing. This is how we kind of usually send our stuff off to polishing. If we do too much, our polisher gets a little upset. We're holding off because this radius is wrong, and we're gonna have to cut this radius a little bit different so it fits the tires perfectly. While Gabor was doing that, I started the steering geometry. I'm just trying to get all this figured out so my tire works properly and get the 2 tires working properly. So we're modifying these turnbuckle, and we just welded these ends on, so now they're tie rod ends. because we couldn't find what we needed, so we make it work. And we're just going to keep going ahead with this. So the steering will be working. Once the steering's working, then we can start mounting the bumper. I just went and drew up the actual mirrors themselves. They're getting laser cut out of mirror finish. Drew up the frame extensions. They're going to get lasered and then broke up, so then we can extend the frame. Clients dropped off the rear axle and pillow block bearings, so we can actually mount the rear axle. All right, ran into a bit of an issue. So we went to fit the bumper on and check our clearances and everything like that. And when we turned the tire all the way in, it actually had a little bit that it hit along the top flange of the bumper. And we need that top flange to keep it straight and rigid. So what we did was we cut the suspension off, moved it back 2 inches. We lost about an hour. We had it all zip cut off, moved it back. It's just tacked on right now. I'll re-weld that in a little bit. I want to make sure all my steering's going to work and all the geometry is going to work too before I do any full welding this time. These are the start of my mirrors. So I'll cap this corner and it'll get welded and blended and then repolished. The inside will get painted black, and then this will, piece of mirror finish will get two-sided tape down there. And these guys, they'll get mounted up here, something like that. And also, I'm gonna cut and modify these fenders and then get them ready to go too. And they're gonna come and touch the bumper as well. So we'll get these dialed in. Okay, I got one mirror welded out. I'll weld that one up and move on to the next thing.